guys, welcome back to Intuitive Angling, and appreciate you guys joining me for today's episode. And guys, today I want to give some tips and advice on running a trolling motor, as far as like trolling motor speed, operation, angles of casting, all that, everything that goes with running a trolling motor. Because I don't know anyone that talks about this on YouTube. When you talk about things that can improve your bass fishing and things that really determine how many fish you catch, trolling motor operation does not get the credit it deserves for anglers catching fish or not catching fish. It is a critical element in your ability to catch fish out of a boat. So I'm going to give you guys some good tips and advice today on some things with trolling motors that's going to help you guys out a lot. Also, guys, if you're looking for a trolling motor, if you're looking to purchase one, guys, Tackle Warehouse has got about every type of trolling motor you want. I'll put my Tackle Warehouse trolling motor link in the description of this video. And if you guys are looking to purchase a trolling motor, if you could use my link there, channel gets credit for that. Channel gets a small percentage of any trolling motor you buy. So that's much appreciated there. And I'll tell you one thing, guys, out of all the trolling motors I use, and I don't get any deals on trolling motors. I buy them just like you guys do. That Minn Kota Ultrex has been my favorite. It's been a super reliable trolling motor. I really like it. I'm running the Ultrex 80-pound thrust right now. I ran the 112 volt thrust for years when I had a fiberglass boat, but I got the 80-pound thrust now. So anyway, guys, if you're looking for one, I'll have that Tackle Warehouse link in the description of the video. Appreciate that. Okay, guys, talk about some things that are really important with trolling motor. Now, there's three primary things that really make a big difference as far as you catching fish running your trolling motor. And the number one is trolling motor speed. Now, when I talk about trolling motor speed, I don't like to talk about terms of running your trolling motor fast or slow at or a medium speed. You have to run your trolling motor at the pace that is going to allow you to most effectively and efficiently fish the technique that you're fishing. Now, every technique that you fish is going to have a different speed of operation that you need to go for, and that's one of the things that you have to really determine is the speed that you want to run your trolling motor based upon your technique. And a lot of this has to do with the type of cover that you're fishing. So let's talk about two different extremes. If you're flipping and pitching heavy cover, let's say you're flipping and pitching a row of boat docks or a thick row of flooded bushes or a grass bed or a thick lily pad field, in a situation like that, you simply cannot cover the water very fast and be efficient and hit everything you need to hit. So you're going to have to dial back your trolling motor. Fish at the pace that will allow you to, not slop through an area, but not run at a snail's pace. Just slow it down. And on another situation, let's say, for example, you're fishing a long stretch of very uniform rocky bank, like a riprap bank or a chunk rock bank that is just going on forever, or maybe a big open flat or something like that. In a situation like that, a lot of times you're going to be fishing a moving bait, like a crankbait or a spinner bait, something that you're retrieving at a fairly fast angle, and you can turn up the dial on your trolling motor. You can cover some water, you can saturate the area, because you're not having to specifically cast at a target. And then everything else is sort of in between that. If you're pitching and flipping or throwing a spinner bait around isolated laydowns, it's sort of in between there. Every situation is going to be unique. So that's the thing that you have to remember, is you want to be able to efficiently fish the technique that you're fishing. You don't want to, get going too fast if you're throwing a jig. You don't want to go too slow if you're throwing a crankbait. You got to get just the right speed. Now, another factor to consider with that, along with the specific speed setting, is you have to take in correlation the current and the wind speed, because the current and the wind speed are all they will also affect your efficiency and your presentation and the speed that you need to go to. Most of the time, if I can get by with it at any time, any way, shape, or form, I want to be working with the current and with the wind. And the reason I do that is that, number one, you're more quiet. You don't have to be on the trolling motor quite so much. So you're more stealthy. It's not going to spook the fish as much. That's the biggest reason. The other reason is you can make a longer cast going with the wind and the current. Your bait lays and looks more natural in the water. It's just a lot more natural presentation. The only time that I ever work into the current or the wind is if, say for example, I've got a brush pile off the end of a point and I've got to put the nose of the boat into the wind to make that cast, or if the current is so significant that I'm blowing past cover way too fast, then I'll turn around and I'll try to, work into the current. So that wind direction, current, speed of the current, wind direction, all that factors into how fast or so slow you need to be running your trolling motor. Another thing with trolling motors, guys, is you don't want to, if you can avoid it, you don't want to be like on and off your trolling motor all the time. In other words, you don't want that on and off button going all the time. Try to dial the speed of your trolling motor to the point where you can keep your foot on the trolling motor and not ever take it off. Because one reason that I suggest this is I heard a friend of mine that was talking to a friend of his that was a diver. They were observing bass behavior with different types of stuff like electronics and motor noises and trolling motor noises, and they noticed that on bass, when the things that really disturbed the bass and sort of made them more skittish, than normal, is when it wasn't necessarily the trolling motor being on, it was the trolling motor getting turned on and off. So if they just had like the trolling motor just running like at a medium speed, didn't seem to affect the bass that much. But if you were on and off of that trolling motor and your foot was constantly on it, then that's one of the things that really, affected the bass and seemed like it spooked them a little bit. So definitely try to keep that in mind too. Another thing, and finally guys, without making this a super long video, is you have got to learn how to approach cover with your trolling motor correctly. And when I'm talking about approaching cover, I'm talking about you have got to be able to fish, you have got to be able to put your boat and come up to a piece of cover at just the right speed and distance. In other words, let's say for example you've got a lay down tree in the water. You want to make sure that you don't come in too fast on that lay down tree where you blow up on it, or you're coming in too close, because you're gonna just get too close. You're not going to be able to make your cast that's going to spook the fish. And you don't want to go up so slow and so far away from it that you can't efficiently make your cast or your presentation where you need to be. You need to practice coming into a piece of cover at just the right speed and just the right distance away from it based upon your technique. I mean, if you're chunking out like a topwater lure, making a long cast, yeah, you can stay farther away from it. But if you're pitching and flipping a worm in that laydown, you're going to have to be closer. So there's three factors that go into that. Number one is the type of boat you have. The bigger and the heavier boat that you have, the slower it's going to be as far as starting it up and stopping it. It takes a lot of thrust and momentum to stop a big boat. If you have a smaller boat like mine, aluminum, not so much. They stop and start a lot quicker. That's why I prefer aluminum. So you have to get used to the weight of your boat, and then on top of that, you have to get used to the weight of the boat in correlation with the wind speed, the wind direction, and the current, once again, that allows you to approach that piece of cover at the right speed and the right distance. So anyway, guys, that's just a few tips with trolling motors. Like I said, don't underestimate the importance of them. They're extremely important as far as getting bites. And once again, guys, if you're looking for a trolling motor, I'll put that Tackle Warehouse link in the description. Every trolling motor you can want there at Tackle Warehouse, and really appreciate it.